There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, we're deep into motorcycle audio, and today we've got a smorgasbord of products that we're going to go through. Some top level custom stuff you're really going to enjoy. We're talking Soundigital, we're talking Ground Zero, and we're even going to touch on some HKI DSP. We've got pro bike builder and expert Andy Smith in the house with us today. It's going to be a good one. This is CMA Connected Soundigital, presented by SiriusXM, and it starts now. Absolutely cool product coming out from this camp here, and it's top level stuff that a lot of these pro custom bike builders have fallen in love with. It's specialty gear, make no mistake about it, but it really performs. Distributed in Canada by BB Distribution. Of course, I'm going to have to invite Arlon, who's their product and trade manager, to the studio so we can get into it. What's going on, Justin?
What's going on, Ben? How are you?
I'm pretty excited because we're not just covering one product, we're kind of covering three from the same camp, right? We're talking about Soundigital amplifiers, we're talking about Ground Zero speakers, and HKI DSP.
I mean, I think in general, we're just talking about badass motorcycles.
Yeah, absolutely. Badass motorcycle stuff is what it's all about. But let me ask you, let's start with this. Motorcycle, kind of a hot deal right now, as you know, and there's a lot of really cool products out there. So I want to hear Justin Bond's opinion on why you think these products in specific are so unique and valuable within, the whole world of custom motorcycle audio building.
Well, I mean, when it comes to motorcycle, real estate is scarce, right? I think that's one thing that's really kind of propelled Soundigital to where they are in the industry now, and where they are in the motorcycle culture. I mean, we've talked about it before. Soundigital being a Brazilian company, being built in Brazil, there's different restrictions there and different reasons why they needed to build these ultra efficient, super powerful, not so power hungry amplifiers. And when you look at the kind of requirements in bike audio, that ticks all the boxes. And I think that's kind of what's propelled them in the United States definitely to their kind of stardom right now, which makes it a super fit for motorcycle. And then when you look into the actual Soundigital offerings in terms of the footprint and the power and what they give you, it allows you to jump out of that realm of 500 watt or 800 watt amplifier into a bike. We have guys doing 3,000, 5,000s, like it gets crazy, right? And multiple amplifiers, jamming them in tour packs, and I think it's really created a niche market for them, kind of going beyond the basic motorcycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we talked about it before. Guys on bikes spend a lot of money on chrome, and you don't need to be scared of it. So
No, not at all. But what about the matchup now between these, Soundigital powerhouse mini amps? I call them mini amps because they're so small, but they pack a punch. With these Ground Zero drivers that have been making a fuss.
Yeah. So the Ground Zero Pro Audio series. I mean, I'll be first and foremost to admit it, was a new kind of segment to me. It's something that I never really dealt with the brands that we distribute, and it was an unknown to me. And lo and behold, I mean, it's loud, it sounds great, and it's the same thing. It's gained this cult following now, especially in motorcycle, in motorsport. They do lots of little things to make sure the speaker's protected and it's going to work well. But yeah, it's turned out to be kind of the perfect pairing. And I mean, Ground Zero in general as a company, with over 400 different SKUs, they play in everybody's area, which is great. And it has formed that like perfect synergy between a group of products. And I mean, then you throw in the company HKI in there, which is just an amazing partner for us in general. And it's like a match made in heaven all around.
Awesome. Let's talk about the Canadian market real quick before we dive into the product type of stuff. It's no secret. We're a little bit behind. I'm the first to admit. I think you'll admit that too. And not just a motorcycle. Trends in general, population dictates a lot of that. But totally. This is high-end stuff, and you kind of touched on it before, Justin, when you talk about the motorcycle customer. So I'd like to hear your take on motorcycle-related products in this price range for customers in Canada.
Yeah. So I mean, I think where this comes from is a culmination of the whole package when it comes into it, because this is not a direct, plug and play, if you will, system. All right. This system requires small modifications, some time, some install knowledge, but is going to be yielding you an end result that, when I say no one can produce, I mean no one can produce, right? So I think for it to be a trend that's catching on as hot as it is, to not have the ease of installation, I guess, that you would say that some other brands on the market have, and to still be a choice among top bikes and bike builders and shops in North America, I think is speaks volumes.
I think our guest today is going to be able to shed a lot more light on this topic for sure. But before we go there, I mean, obviously, Andy Smith, he's like the power sports motorbike trainer for HKI. So obviously he knows exactly what he's talking about. But an interesting twist is he actually owns his own shop and is working on bikes all the time. We're going to get a glimpse of that. So having said that, Justin Bond, what are you most excited about today's presentation?
I was going to say probably having Andy on here, because it's like, Ben, it's like you and I are the suits, right? We're the guys behind the desk.
I can't believe you just said we're the suits.
Right? Well, I'm lucky. I get to go out and I get to get boots on the ground, right?
Yes.
I used to have a motorcycle. I don't have a motorcycle now. And we have all these guys, coming on the CMA and everyone talking about motorcycle audio. But like Andy is a motorcycle shop, man. Like
he's in it. He's in it.
This is it, right? And it's to hear from someone like that, like, this is what he lives. This is what he breathes. Motorcycle audio is his day to day. It is not. It is not his side gig or his other venture, like it is in a lot of
or a part of his business. This correct. So is his business.
I think it's going to be really cool and really powerful for all the dealers here that want to bridge that gap and want to do more motorcycles and want to be, infamous in their areas or in their markets and want to become like the place to go for motorcycles. I think listening to Andy and having him on here is going to show us, a mix of him with the products. I think it's like definitely the recipe for success.
Yeah, we got some good ingredients for this one. All right. So on that note, we're going to set the mood. We've got one video here, just one of many. We have to be selective, but it's let's learn about what Andy does and what he's passionate about. Let's roll the tape.
Hey, this is Andy with HKI USA, sitting here in Dallas at Knowledge Fest 2021. Wanted to show you a little bit about our demo bike that we brought with us. What we've got in this thing is all pro line equipment. We've got black basket 6.5s in the fairing. We've got some red basket 8s in the lowers. We've also got the compression tweeters, the 500 IVBs running in the front end of this bike, all on Soundigital power. We come to the back of the bike we're running the Red Basket GZCM 6.5N Pros, 2 of them in the tour pack. We've got GZIW Iridium line 10-inch subs in each saddlebag, sealed, ported. We've got those bad boys running on a Soundigital 3K Evo X2. Nothing too crazy. This is just our fun little demo bike. We've been taking this thing everywhere, having fun with it, showing people what we can actually do with our products. If anybody's got any questions, reach out to us at soundigitalusa.com, groundzerousa.com, or hkiusa.com. We'll make sure you get lined up with the correct rep, or if we can answer the questions, we will. Hope to see y'all soon.
I love how he says he's got dual 10 yellow baskets, and it's just for fun. It's just a cute little kit.
Just his everyday small, simple demo bike.
No big deal.
3,000 watts of power and
no big deal. No big deal. This is, I think, this is what a taste of what we're going to be in for the next few minutes, next while here while we get Andy on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our specialist who's on with us today, Andy Smith, who's the power sports trainer for HKI USA. What's going on, Andy?
How we doing, guys?
Doing pretty good. Pretty excited to have you on, man. Like look at you. You're in the setting that we were hoping for.
We got a few things going on here. I mean, nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
at least in my world.
Yeah, I think we can take the grain of salt with the nothing too crazy business. But Andy, so happy to have you on. You like we said here, you obviously work for HKI and you train in this category. And were we right to assume everything that we said, that you also work in the field, have your own shop and work?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of stuff with HKI. I'm a rep for them. I do tech support. I am a trainer for them. We do all the knowledge fests, all of those things, and then I still own a shop. So I'm in this day in, day out. So I get to do a lot of the testing on Soundigital, Ground Zero, HKI. A lot of times I get fun stuff that nobody knows about. We got a little surprise here in a little bit too. Both of you guys know about it, but we'll at least get to show a few things.
All right, so stay tuned, guys. That's a major, Easter egg right there. Stay in. We got some new stuff that we're going to show exclusively here on CMA. Let's get to know the brands a little bit, Andy, if you don't mind. Soundigital. It's a pretty specialized brand. We've talked about in the past, from Brazil. I think Justin did a nice job just kind of profiling what the brand about. But tell us a little bit about what is Soundigital's approach when it comes to the motorcycle audio category.
So when it comes to Soundigital, the biggest thing everybody knows us for is big power, small package. And we always try to continue and evolve and shrink if possible. We always change and update. We want to make sure nobody runs into problems. We want to make sure we're staying on top of things, staying ahead of the rest of the market. So we actually developed a power sports line that we started out specific design for Harley, but we haven't quite got everything in place that would match up with, as Justin has sitting with him, Evo X2. We've changed the Evo X, produced the Evo X2. Obviously, we learned a bunch of stuff from the power sports side, what amps we have there. So we've integrated those into the Evo X2 line. Now, we don't have the same sizes. We've got a 5K, 8K, 12K. There's a 20K in the Evo X line. We don't have those in the power sports line. So what we've done, we're trying to get it more for the guys that are needing a big mono amplifier or wanting it to run subwoofers or things like that. So we do have a 2000.4, which is going to be our biggest in the power sports line at the moment, which is same design as the 2400.4 Evo X or Evo X2. We just shrunk it down, made it a little more efficient, and throttled it back a little bit. So we're learning a lot with them. We do have a 2400.1 coming out in the power sports line. I don't have one with me. I wish I did, but that's going to be our biggest mono amplifier at the moment. There's a few other ones coming, but we'll kind of leave those for the moment. Other than that, though, I mean, everything we have with Soundigital, it may not be drop in, but the size of the amplifier versus the power it produces, you can't beat it.
I got a
like I said, we're always trying to update and improve.
Mm-hmm. You were saying, Justin?
So Andy, having you here is great, and one of the biggest reason is is, you are the definition of practice, what you preach, right? So like 2400 RMS into a bike as a mono, like what are you doing for power management on something like that?
Okay, so when we get into that much power, we are definitely going to upgrade battery. Now, a motorcycle is not quite like a car. You can't just add an alternator, things like that. But what we are doing is we're running better power and ground wire. We're going to make sure everything's OFC. Depending on size, depending on the build, we're going to run either 4-gauge or out-gauge. If we're just throwing an 800.4 in it, it's plenty of size for 1 amp to run an 8-gauge power and ground wire. But when you start getting into big power, like the bike that you had in the video a little bit ago that we took to Dallas with us, that bike is 7,400 watts RMS. That's what it's rated for. Now, I will promise you that we don't actually use all of it. It is actually set up for headroom. That's a big one that people don't understand. They think, oh, you got to have all this power. No. If I've got extra power in a bike, it's so that I can make things run more efficient. I'm not going to max out a 2400.4 on a bike. If we're using a 2400.4, I'm not going to bridge it and run it full throttle all the time. We're going to run it stereo. We're going to run it so that it's on the correct speakers and put the speakers in their range where they're supposed to be.
On cruise control, not
basically
pedal to the metal all the time.
Correct.
Understood. We're going to get into all the products, guys. Definitely. I just wanted to kind of get an overview of what Andy's thought of, when it came to Soundigital and motorcycle audio. I have that same question for the other brand that we'll be covering today, and that is Ground Zero. So what is the approach that Ground Zero takes when it comes to motorcycle audio?
They've done a lot for us. So they're the competition line that everybody uses in motorcycle audio was not designed for motorcycle audio. Just like 90% of the other brands, it was not originally designed for motorcycle audio. It was just a happy accident, so to speak, that it worked out and people are using it. Well, Ground Zero takes a lot of information from us. North America is probably the biggest market for motorcycles in the world. What they've done is they listen to us. They will actually go through and develop product, let us test it per our specs. And if we like it, they'll take it to market. If we don't like it, they'll make changes, send it back to us, let us try again. They keep trying to evolve with us, just like Soundigital is doing. Ground Zero, those guys have been amazing to work with. And I've got some goodies from them sitting here too.
Ooh, I like that. So a product that wasn't initially intended for motorcycle has kind of built a cult following, like Justin has said. And since then, because of the relationship, when you say we test, I think you mean you test, because from what I understand, they send you the stuff and you try to beat the crap out of it and see if you can bust it. And that's awesome as well.
We've got other guys that do testing too, but a lot of times lately I've been getting stuff. So
cool. That's a cool. I know Justin's like a little bit jelly sometimes with the stuff that we were talking about backstage, but we're gonna get to some of that. Before we kind of unleashed all the product breakdown. One last question I have for you is, you see the market, you see the trends, you go to the shows, you have a shop. So what are some of the newest and most popular trends and products that are kind of running by your shop these days?
In my world, the go-to stuff for 90% of the bikes that come in, we're not doing huge bikes like I've got sitting behind me. We don't do those all day, every day. Do they come up? Oh, absolutely. We still do them. But you're looking at the rider setups, 2 speakers, 4 speakers, 1 amp. To me, it's a quick in and out, and you've got people that are beyond happy. What we're doing is we're just upgrading their factory, and they're loving it. It's easy fit. That side is not going anywhere. At least not yet. I mean, we've seen a huge spike over the last 2 years in guys buying brand new bikes and wanting to upgrade and doing things that way. Obviously, pretty much every single manufacturer is seeing that spike right now too. So I don't see anything changing that way. I do see not as many of these giant bikes coming out. It takes a lot more money, and while most guys don't really care how much they're spending, everybody's got a budget of some sort. So,
and any credence to what Justin was saying, when there are a ton of kind of like plug and play brands and options out there, and they serve a certain purpose, and you guys don't do anything like that. So I'd like to hear your opinion on that before we get into the product.
Well, and I can't say we don't do anything. We've actually got a few things in the works with HKI.
Okay.
We're working on a few products to make it a little more plug and play. Can't say it'll be exact or 100% plug and play. Like a lot of our speakers that we're using, and a bunch of them we're going to talk about today, yeah, they fit. They're not a huge modification. We've had people say that some of the Soundigital amplifiers don't fit. You got to modify things. Well, I can show that they fit. It's not that hard. People just, a lot of shops don't want to put in the legwork. They just like the drop in, and they're quick in and out. They can make good money on it. We've got other options that minimal modification, and you're going to blow the other stuff out of the water, but just getting them to do it.
You got to weigh that out, right? And you know what? Awareness, and that's why we're doing what we're doing right here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's dive into some product. Andy, I guess you can take the lead on it. We got a list of products we want to go through, and the first one that we want to talk about right now, we want to hear you kind of dropped it just earlier, the new Soundigital Evo X2 series. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. I think we dove into it a little bit the other night. Like I said, basically what we've done is we've taken the Evo X line and we've taken what we learned from the Power Sports line. We've integrated it. We've done everything we can to improve the Evo X line. I don't have an 804 with me, but I believe Justin does if he's got one open. This is actually an Evo X2 2400.4. We've upgraded the boards in them. We've changed to Tiffany style RCA, and all around it's a two-piece heatsink. All around better amplifier. We continue to grow. We try to make sure people aren't going to have issues, and we're going to keep evolving with everybody else. So that's where the Evo X2 line came. It literally was an expansion of things we learned on the Power Sports line. Then speaking of Power Sports, my personal favorite and most used Power Sports amplifier is going to be the 800.4.
That's tiny.
It is very small, and I mean, let's do comparison size. 2400 is not all that big, but it is quite a bit smaller.
And can you just remind our listeners again the main differences between the regular Evo line and the PS line, the Power Sports?
Okay, so the PS line, biggest thing you would notice if you're actually trying to look at it, it is a completely different heatsink. Okay, we did go to Tiffany style RCAs, which now the Evo X2 line, we have done the same thing. These actually have gold tracing on the boards. They're conformal coated boards, and they have more vibration resistance. That's why we say these are designed for motorcycle. The Evo X2 line is geared more towards cars. Yes, it can be used in motorcycles, and it is used in motorcycles quite a bit. My suggestion on those is those are in the big show bikes or the guys that you're never going to get caught in the weather. They are not water resistant whatsoever.
All right.
And
So
the
actual rider customer, you're probably better off going with the PS line, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, when I was looking at the new 800, I noticed there's a fan on the bottom of it, and there's also more airflow through the sides of the amplifier now too. I know a lot of bike dealers like those 800s previous, just because of the size, and the Power Sports is slightly bigger of an amplifier than the 804. And I think you you nailed it on the head, Andy, when it comes down to, the rider who is the once or twice a week rider, only when it's, Sunday or hot out.
The fair weather rider.
The fair weather rider. Yeah. That's the candidate for the X804, X2 804. But when you have the balls to the walls, the grinder, the rider, the rain or shine, I'm out there. The Evo PS is where you need to be.
Absolutely.
You guys have taken a lot of provisions to ensure that amp stays reliable. With all the plugs on the connectors and the settings and stuff like that. So I think that's great as well.
I know we have an image. Let's bring up that image of the new Evo X2, and we're going to show the people that new Tiffany style connector there. There it is right there. Clean design, beautiful connector, and really simple. Anything else you want to add to this while we have the image up, Justin?
Like I said, you can notice that there's just an increase in airflow among the amplifier itself. And
Are you
which
sorry? Are you referring to those little vents on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
on the new X2, there's a fan on the bottom, is on the actual underside of the amplifier as well, for
hmm
to kind of expel all heat that comes there, because obviously these amps are super efficient, and when power goes into an amplifier, it's converted into musical output, and everything that's not is converted into heat. So um, that's kind of where they're at on that one. So the Power Sports is probably the best, but the X2 is definitely a very common option as well that dealers seem to love. If it's in a tour pack, you're probably a lot better off than if it's in a fairing. Well, the tour packs are
And like I
waterproof.
said, we've gone for how long with running the Evo and Evo X amplifiers before we
Exactly.
brought up the Power Sports.
Right. Yeah.
They
Passwords
do
only came out
work.
last year, right? Just last year. It came out.
However, it's still our recommendation that if you're doing a motorcycle, you go to the Power Sports side.
What's the
You're just
breakout of the model?
better
Andy?
reliability.
Yeah.
What are the breakout of the models, Andy, for the Power Sports series?
On the Power Sports,
Mhm.
we've got an 800.4, an 800.1, a 1200.4, a 2000.4. We are bringing, if I remember correctly, a 1200.1 and a 2400.1 for mono amplifiers. That's where we're at the moment.
2400.1
Absolutely.
on a bike.
Just got these two full-size subwoofers in the saddlebags. It's all good.
No big deal. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I know we do have another video that's going to come up in a little bit.
Yeah.
That video, hopefully we get to talk about it afterwards, because the bike that you're going to show in that video, if you think 2400 watts on one amplifier in a bike is crazy, wait till we bring that one back up.
All right. Next up, this little piece that I've been staring at next to Justin that I heard a lot about, HKI Mini DSP, digital sound processor for bike. Andy, what is this thing all about?
It's exactly what you just said. It's a digital sound processor. At HKI, we found a need in the market for something that would be available. We worked with a company in Brazil, developed this piece in a hurry because we had shops and customers, consumers needing them. They couldn't get their hands on things with the way the world was at the moment. So we kind of went to bat for everybody and developed our own. Now, it is designed for power sports. That's what it was to have in mind. It is all Bluetooth controlled for tuning, things like that. It's a perfect little fit though. Motorcycle, it's smaller than our 800.4 power sports, quite a bit smaller. Here's your mini. Let's put the 800.4 with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's honestly not much bigger than an iPhone.
I was holding it up.
That's
my
why he
iPhone
phones up.
Yeah.
to here. Well, there's my child.
There you go.
But yes.
It's small.
So
But so I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Yes.
Why on earth do I need DSP on a motorcycle? Help me understand this.
Well, I'm not going to say you need it, but I'm not going to say you don't. Okay. So for me, I like to be able to tune every single speaker according to what it needs or what it wants to perform the best, to be the most efficient. So me putting a DSP in a bike isn't just on a big competition bike. We're going to do them on almost every single bike that we do. When we do that, we actually get things to run more efficient and sound better than just plugging it in. The other side of that, I don't care what brand amplifier you're using, the built-in crossover is not 100% accurate. If I can run full pass and put it on a DSP, I can set everything exactly where I want. It just makes sense to me so that we can clean everything up and keep everything reliable.
So I just want to be clear, and maybe Justin, you can answer, or Andy. Does this have anything to do with replacing factory radio and getting that full band frequency signal, or this is just after that fact, and we're just setting independent settings of output going to each speaker?
So for me, it's after.
Okay.
We actually flash every single Harley factory head unit. We flatten it as much as we possibly can, and then we still add the DSP afterwards.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it doesn't compensate for the terrible EQ curves. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I was just making sure.
The next reiteration.
Very, very cool. Let's bring up the image right here of this so we can get a better understanding. So how many inputs, how many outputs? What is, explain that to
It
us.
is 4 channels in, 8 channels out. And the
4
unit
channels
is
in, 8 channels out. Okay.
correct. And the unit is lockable. So you can password protect it, which is also nice. As a shop, I can set it up and tune it, and then I'm not, if I want to give the customer the access to it, I can. If I don't, because of the way I warranty things, I don't have to tell them what it is. But if you do it that route, you need to explain to your customer why you're not giving them a password. Just be
Gotcha.
upfront.
So 4 channels in, 8 channels
8
out,
channels out.
and I guess the other side of it, which we don't see, is just power ground remote, correct?
Correct. That's all you've got on it.
All right. Thank you for that. Moving on to, we're going into, let's get into some ground zero, guys. Let's talk about ground zero now, shifting gears. We talked about the PS amplifiers, the X2 amplifiers, covered that mini DSP. Ground zero we're going to spend some time on because there's quite a bit of product to talk about. Let's start with what we're calling the 6.5 SPL, which according to you guys is a pretty darn popular unit.
The yellow baskets.
These right here.
Mm-hmm.
These were designed by us and Ground Zero together specifically for the motorcycle market. It is a full range coaxial that is very hard to beat for the price. It has some of the biggest range I have personally ever heard out of a 6.5. I mean, we're talking 55 hertz to 20,000 hertz out of one speaker. You can literally do a 2-speaker setup for a customer and get full range and get them everything they need. They don't require a ton of power. You don't want to overpower them, just like anything else. Too much power is bad sometimes. But this was designed by Ground Zero with us so that we had something for the motorcycle market. Now, it is not 100% drop-in. We'll talk Harley because that's the main one that I deal with. On a Harley, let's say on a 2014 to 2022 Street Glide or a Batwing, right? The pods need to be shaved out. There's some tabs on the inside that we shave out, and then this will drop in. It literally takes me about 3 minutes to trim both pods and drop the speakers in. Doesn't add that much time to your setup. On a Road Glide, the difference that you've got to deal with on those pods to drop these in is you got to stretch the pod a little bit. Some guys will cut the outside of the pod where the magnet's going to hit and then cover it back up with sound deadener. I heat the pod, we stretch it just a little bit, and they drop in. Nothing too crazy. They're still very reliable, and the fact that these are water resistant is another big reason that these were designed for the motorcycle market. Now, if we want to take a different little step, I know this one's a personal favorite of mine because this is one that I dealt with Germany begging and pleading for something that would work. I wanted a 6x9. My market sells a ton of 6x9s. We took the 6.5 that I just showed you, matched it up, and actually created a 6x9. This hasn't been out very long. We dropped these right around Christmas, but it is truly the biggest selling 6x9 I have. And it has just destroyed any other 6x9 that we have carried.
Destroyed,
yes. You don't need any other 6x9 in my mind. The other thing to this, yes, this was also designed for the motorcycle market. You can use it in other things. We've got guys that use them in Jeeps. I've had customers come in and purchase them to put in their cars because they actually fit. The range out of these is amazing. I can get ridiculous bass out of these on a bike with no extra work.
So definitely not your run-of-the-mill 6x9. And I just want to be clear, same DNA, same tonality as the 6.5s?
Absolutely.
Same materials?
Exact same material. Still weather resistant and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we went after to design these.
And I would say, typically a lot of motorcycle audio from other brands and stuff tend to be like a separate system, not so much a coax, because historically with a coax, you have a pole piece that the tweeter mounts on, and that goes straight down into the coil, and that can be really kind of susceptible to water, moisture, dust, etc. So all the CF series of the competition, the yellow baskets, Andy, I don't know if you want to hold that up a little closer to your camera, but they all feature a rubber gasket right around the pole piece that's mounted onto that tweeter. You can kind of see it right there. And that's going to prevent it against the elements from the water trickling down through the former and around the coils.
Actually, Justin, I think we have an image that you can talk through. Let's put the image up so you can describe what it is you're trying to say here.
Perfect. Like I said, so if you look right around the tweeter there towards the base of where the mount is, right around the cone of the ground zero speaker, you'll notice that you can kind of see little plastic ridges. And what that is it's almost a rubber gasket that sits around the mount for the tweeter that will prevent water from trickling down into the speaker along the former and around the voice coil to create corrosion problems. So that's one of the steps that Ground Zero specifically took to make these speakers as reliable and as performing as they are in motorcycles.
Yes, awesome. And I noticed this 250 watt power handling rating on these. That's crazy.
They're
For
not
a 6.5.
quiet. Yeah,
Oh my God.
they have jam. They're designed to go. And like Andy did, he just showed you the 6x9. Now, this particular speaker, with the addition of that new 6x9, I'm guessing he predominantly uses it in the bags, because that seems to kind of be where a lot of the aftermarket bag lid manufacturers have 6x9s in there, or provision for 6x9.
How's the modification required for the 6x9? We'll take down this image. Thanks a lot for the image. Andy, 6x9
So
fitment.
depends on what you've got for a motorcycle and what you're working with. So on Harley, they come factory. If they've got factory speaker lids, it's going to come with a 5x7. So we actually just use an adapter. We cut the basket out, mount our adapter to go from 5x7 to 6x9. There's a ton of aftermarket manufacturers that do aftermarket lids. We sell a ton of those. They drop right in. Certain lids, the way they're shaped, things like that, you might need to use an extra spacer on them, but that's about all you're going to have for modification.
That's probably a really efficient way to get a little bit of jam in the back without going the subwoofer route, I imagine.
Oh yeah, but if you want to do subwoofers, we also have options that way.
Imagine.
And those speakers come in an 8-inch as well.
We do have those in an 8-inch. I did not get one out today. I didn't think about it ahead of time, but we do have that GZCF in a 8-inch as well. That again, obviously designed for the motorcycle market, especially for things like sitting right behind me. The fairing of this motorcycle is actually set up for 8-inch speakers. Great option to set
8-inch in the fairing.
Oh yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. CF series. What's that all about?
So the CF series, that's what we were just on. That's your
that's the yellow basket.
I'm trying to think how to.
I think Ben's talking
the
about
GZCF. What it actually stands for is GZ is ground zero, the C is for coaxial, and then competition, and then the F is full range. So being a coaxial, that's why it's set up that way.
Understood. You were saying, Justin?
I think you were more alluding to these elusive red baskets that may have popped their heads around the corner that I have never physically got a chance to hold.
I was getting to that. There's two things I wanted to get to. One of these mysterious red basket myths that have been kind of floating around the community. But the other thing we wanted to talk about was the shallow.
So I don't happen to have, I was going to try and get the big bike back here that we have prototype red basket CFs. We just couldn't make it happen to get it here in time. But yes, there is a red basket coaxial. It is very, very close to a drop-in on a street glide or a road glide. It will be a great addition to our line, especially the competition line. They are an incredible speaker. I've had so much fun testing those. Even a video is not going to do them justice what they actually can produce. I promise you that.
Can you back it up a little bit? What is the difference now between the yellow basket and the red, obviously other than the color?
So in our normal lineup, we look at the red basket is what we would call the normal red basket, as everybody calls it, is a GZCM. It's actually a mid-range speaker. Okay. Then our normal yellow basket, that's not the ones we were just talking about, is a GZCK. The GZCK is a kick woofer. It's going to play a lower frequency range. It will dig deeper. Now, the mid-range, obviously, we all know where they should play. What we did was the sensitivity of the red basket is what we love in the motorcycle world, especially with competition bikes. So they worked with us, and we took the GZCT, which is one of our horn tweeters, the 20N Pro, which they started out with a 19N Pro. We brought out the 20N Pro. We basically combined the 20N Pro with a red basket 6.5. The results are just incredible. Like I said, I wish I could show. So that's the original red basket. That's the GZCM 6.5N Pro. Then our next one from that is going to be the black basket, which is a GZCM 6.5 Neo. And we switched those over. Now they're a Neo DC, which is the dust cap. It got rid of the phase plug. But that's basically the reasoning behind the different colors, so to speak. And everybody's just got they've kind of gone away from saying model numbers, and they're just used to the red basket, black basket, yellow basket.
CMA Networks, we totally relate. Everything we do is color coded as well, so we can totally relate with that.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. Now, what is the shallow deal that I keep hearing about?
So that's another one that I got to work with Germany on. I was begging for a shallower sub. I'm a big competition guy when it comes to bikes. So I put subs in a lot of bikes, or we put big mid-base drivers in saddlebags, but I seal them, we port them, we do all sorts of crazy stuff that way. Well, I wanted something that could handle a lot of power and go into a saddlebag. Well, Ground Zero, they decided they'd work with us when we told them that we could use it for more than just motorcycles. Like I said, one of their things is the motorcycle market is not that big for them. So when they listen to us and work with us, they trust us. So they took their Hydrogen Series subwoofer and created us a flat 10.
Ooh, look at that.
This thing is beefy, I promise. And I have in my possession the only set in the world right now. Okay. We had a Knowledge Fest here in February in Las Vegas. I had these things put into a Vanderhall. That's what we took down to show what these could do. And Peter, one of the owners of Ground Zero, was actually here from Germany. And that was the first time he got to hear them. So he was surprised what we could do with them. And we really weren't pushing them that hard yet. I'd only had them about a week and a half when we put them in the Vanderhall to take. But they are beyond impressive. We've had a lot of fun with them so far. And as far as I understand,
how much power did you put in them? I'm curious. How much
so
power
on those, when I had them in the Vanderhall, they were on a 2000.4. So 4-channel amp. We had a DSP on it. I ran one speaker per 2 channels. So we were bridging it roughly without remembering voltage. Figure RMS, they could have got 1,000 a piece off of that amplifier. And I could have fed them more if I wanted to.
1,000 a piece.
Yes, sir.
I understand when Andy talks now, Justin. I get his style, right? When he says, "Man, we're just having fun with them. We'll only put 1,000 watts on them." It wasn't.
Well,
that
so I mean, we've had massive success with Ground Zero's other thin woofer, the Titanium series. But the Titanium series falls into the more standard output RMS or input RMS voltage that you would see traditionally among thin woofers in automotive industries,
in
right?
car audio, right?
And then when we have cars that need the serious bass, we send them a hydrogen. Do you got a regular hydrogen up there?
If you give me 2 seconds to take a walk, I've got one sitting right around the corner. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, keep going, Justin. Cool. Keep saying what you're saying.
So, and the hydrogen is the series up. Ground Zero always talks about hydrogen as the series where SPL and sound quality and fun meet, right? So we've done very good with those. So for me to begin to have access to smaller profile or thinner profile woofer that has in the relative range of output of the hydrogen series, I'm ecstatic because nobody's doing 1,000 RMS thin woofers right now. Like it doesn't
never
exist.
Even heard of that. That doesn't even make sense.
Here's your
handle that kind of hydrogen. Yeah, that I'm used to. You tell me you put 1,000 watts into that, I'm like, it'd probably take a little bit more, knowing Ground Zero.
Wait a little
Your
bit.
little pancake little woofer there.
Then you
Don't
throw
tell me
a
that
little
takes the same
corn.
amount of power. Really?
And they'll
You can tell
handle
Andy
real
works
close to
out.
the same.
Andy must work out because those are heavy.
Yeah, those are
Yeah,
heavy.
they're not
You can do
lightweight.
that. Yeah.
So
yeah,
the evolution like that is like I'm super jazzed on it.
And Andy, what about like enclosure volume sizes for that type of
So
woofer?
on that flat, it's actually our specs show 0.6 cubic feet net for a ported enclosure.
Ported.
When we did them in the Vanderhall, we had a shared airspace for 2 of them, and I was 1.46 with a 4-inch port. We were tuned at 34 hertz, and yeah, they're fun.
Really?
Very fun.
How do they look? Is there a lot of excursion, a lot of X-Max on them, or
They do have pretty good excursion. They're definitely, and even just watching them, you know, we on HKI on our YouTube page, you can see those playing in the Vanderhall. So
very, very cool. I think we did the tour. I've been kind of anxious to kind of get to this part, Justin, because Andy's kind of promised he's going to take us a walk around the shop and kind of show us a couple of toys he's got going on. Is that still cool, Andy? Can we do that?
I'm good with it. I don't think I'm going to be in the video at that point, but
we'll hear your voice.
But we'll do a little talk because let's just start with the one right behind me. Okay.
I'll tell you what. We're gonna go to a video so you can set up your camera, and when we come back, we'll do a little walkthrough.
Well, I was going to say, let me tell you this one real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
This one right behind me, it is set up to do 8s in the fairing. We're going to have 8s in the lids. We're doing 12-inch subs in the saddlebags.
12.
And then I have a tour pack for it that's not on right now that will have another ported enclosure for 2 more 8s. We will also have multiple horn tweeters in it. This bike, when I'm done, RMS will be around 11,000 watts.
This doesn't compute, but okay, that's just my face of it. Okay. There's people that do this. There's people that like that stuff. Okay. I mean, to that point.
Is the other video you're going to show?
Are you trying to kill wildlife as you raw draw? I'm just trying to understand. Okay.
Well, so let me ask this one. The video we're going to show is the other video I'm thinking, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the one with the white and blue bike.
So let me jump to that one for you real quick.
Okay.
The video that you're going to show is a very, very big bike. Okay. That has 2 sets of our prototype red basket coaxials in it. It's got 4 other red baskets.
This is a new build then. This is a new build.
Yeah,
Okay.
That bike has the 4 prototype 6.5s in it. It has 2 sets of our 20N Pro horns in it, which I'll talk about in that video too. It's got 4 red basket 8s, 2 in each lid. And then it's got 1 10-inch subwoofer, full-size hydrogen subwoofer in each bag. However, that bike is built for nothing but headroom. That bike is 22,400 watts RMS.
Come on.
There is a 12,000.1 Evo X amplifier running just the 2 hydrogen 10s.
Where's it getting the juice from?
That bike has 5 lithium batteries in it.
There it is. Okay.
And about 90 feet of aught gauge wire.
That bike weighs a ton without the bike.
It's as heavy as a Toyota Corolla.
Right, exactly. exactly. All right. So let's cue up the tape. This is the second video. We'll roll that, and when you get back, we'll get you ready, Andy, so we can take a tour of your shop. Let's roll the tape.
Sounds good.
Hey guys, Andy with HKI USA again. Just wanted to do a quick little walkthrough on the big bike we brought out here to Knowledge Fest Vegas. It's actually a 2016 Road Glide, 32-inch front wheel, lay frame build, monster audio. Up front we start out, we've got the brand new GZCF 165 Neo Pros. Not available yet, but we got 4 of them in here. We also have 1 set of the GZCT 20N Pros for horns up front. We move our way to the back, we've got the GZCM 8.0 N Pros, 2 in each lid, another set of the GZCT 20N Pros in each lid. Get down into the subwoofer range, we've got 1 in each bag, Ground Zero Hydrogen 10s. They are GZHW 25 XSPL D2s. Monster sound out of these things, guys. We start talking power, This thing has way more power than anybody ever needs, and we're using it for headroom. Up front, we've got 3 of the 2400.4 Evo X amplifiers. We've got 2 800.4 Evo X amplifiers. There's a 400.4 and a 1200.2, all stuffed in the fairing. You want to see some fun stuff, we come back here. On the subs, we're running an Evo X 12K. This thing's housed with 5 batteries to make sure this thing runs. Nothing but fun, guys. Hey, you got any questions on any of the products? Hit us up. We'll see you soon.
Nothing but fun.
I'm giggling from that video. That is the biggest amplifier I have ever seen installed on a motorcycle. That's so ridiculous.
I told you we have fun with it.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, take it away, man. I'm really excited to see what you got here in your shop.
So this is the one that we were just talking about. It's going to be 6 8s, 2 12s. Just a fun little competition bike that we're working on. Over here, we're waiting on some paint to get back. This one's going to be another fun audio bike. It'll be 10-inch mids in the saddlebags, sealed, ported, bunch of power. We're actually doing 8s in the fairing of that bike. Just not the same as this. They'll actually be hidden in that fairing. There's company Curly's Inc. actually makes a nice little bracket for it. A couple other bikes that we're working on, nothing
Andy,
crazy.
Andy,
I'm sorry?
real quick. I hope you can hear me. That white bike, those fairings to fit 8s, is that all custom or is that a kit?
So there's kits that you can order that are actually just bond-on pods. They make them for road glides, and now they make them for street glides as well. So here's one of our little basic rider setups. We went a little over the top on this one. This one's actually got red baskets up front with a set of horns, but I've got an 800.4 Evo X. There's your HKI Mini. And what you can't see, let's see if the radio's still unhooked. We've actually got a 400 tucked under the radio.
Look at that.
So this bike has, like I said, red basket 6.5s up front. We've got the GZCF 6x9s in the lids. Nothing too crazy, but just a fun little setup. The bike in your first video is in pieces right now. This is the bike that was in the first video. It's actually my personal bike. So we're changing her up a little bit. Another one sitting here that we're working on. When I say we do everything, I'm saying we do everything. Another one waiting on paint. Let's go up to my front room. We got a couple more up here. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Some stuff tore down, but basically, you're not going to find a bike or vehicle in our possession that does not have Ground Zero and Soundigital. This is the Vanderhall that we took to Las Vegas that we were talking about. But we swapped it out so that I had those 10s for something else, and we put hydrogen 8s back in it. Again, those hydrogen 8s are still running on that same 2000.4.
Awesome.
Always something, right?
So, Justin, now that you see this, I think there's some shops in Canada that could definitely get to this level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, did Justin freeze on us? I think Justin might have froze on us, but I'll tell you what, Andy, it's pretty nuts. I think it's so cool that you get to work with this.
You know what? I forgot about this one.
Oh, yeah.
This actually has 8-inch lowers too, so it'll actually be 8 8s with 2 12-inch subs. I forgot.
1, 2. Hold on. 2 in the fairings, 2 in the lowers.
Yep, 1 on each side in the lowers. Then you'll have 1 in each lid. And then it'll be a 12-inch sub in each saddlebag, and we still have a tour pack to put on it with 2 8s.
Oh, the tour pack is where the other 2 8s are going. Gotcha. Okay.
So,
all right. So let's bring Justin back. Justin, the question I had for you, for Canadian dealers, I mean, I think there's a couple dealers that aren't that far off to get to that level.
It's just I think it's offering it is the problem, right? If all I do is sell you a cheap TV that meets your needs, you're never going to want the better one, right? I think when in general, when it comes to the reason that Andy can sell these is obviously he's built up this reputation for him, but he also offers it to his customer. If the daily rider setup is what he wants, it's almost like he's already created his own packages. Then that's what he does. But I guarantee you, he shows everybody those bikes, regardless if they have they come in and they say, "Oh, I have a very small budget." The second you're taken into a shop like that, or you see something like that, or you hear a
Mind,
display of that,
brains everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
my budget's gone,
yeah.
because at the end of
Forget
the
what
day,
I
I'm
just
driving
said.
a
Never mind what I said.
$50,000 toy, and I need it to be the
I
best.
want it like this, or I want it louder than this, or I want it badder than this. It's one of those two.
The other thing that we run into, though, is you got guys that come in and they have something set in their mind.
Mhm.
You can show them a setup if you've got stuff sitting around like I do, right?
Yes, right.
What you end up with is you get this bike done for a customer, and he goes out and his buddies are all impressed with it. And then you get his friends coming in going, I need mine just a little bit louder than Justin's. I love what you did, but I want it louder than his. Okay, so we do his buddy's bike. It might be the same setup, but he's happy. We might change it up. We might go a little farther with it. But then next year, Justin's coming back going, man, you did my buddy's bike. I need to redo mine again. And it's just a never-ending revolving cycle.
Yeah, no, and that's great. I mean, that's what it's all about. Okay, two questions quickly, Andy, and then I'm going to let you go. The first question is, you have the experience, you're working with the Soundigital amplifiers with the Ground Zero drivers. I'd like to hear in your words, how do they pair and how do they work together?
It's kind of like I said when we were doing a little walkthrough of the shop. You're not going to find something in this shop that does not have Ground Zero and Soundigital. It is our go-to. While we do sell other brands, there's no reason for it. HKI has taken care of us, not just because I work for them, but the fact that they work with us, with Ground Zero, with Soundigital. We will continue to grow and reproduce better and better equipment. It's just a nonstop deal. These guys have always been there for us. I've always been with them, and that's why I'm working with them. I believe in everything that both of them have to offer.
Excellent. And my last question, and we touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear your message to dealers who are tuning into, maybe just getting into motorcycle or are curious, that there is life beyond plug and play.
Oh, there's absolutely life beyond plug and play. The thing when it comes to this stuff, people will pay for it. You have to listen to your customers, find out what their wants and needs are. Always ask questions. Yes, keep a budget in mind, but also verify. I mean, hey, I can hit your budget and put you here, but what if we go $200 over your budget because of the install, extra labor, whatever, and I can put it here? Would you do it? I would every day. I'd spend the extra $200 or $500, or I mean, some cases $10,000,
$20,000 for
exactly.
Or 2,400 watts on a bike. That's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. Yes.
Andy, I can't thank you enough for, first of all, showing us all the new goods, giving us a glimpse of what's to come, but also sharing with us, your personal business and how you roll over there. So congrats to your shop and
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, this is great. I think we learned a lot, and we look forward to having you on again.
You let me know. I'll be here.
All right. Take care, Andy.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Mr. Bond, let's wrap it up for the folks listening. They got a great tour of a shop that they can aspire to become, a builder that they can aspire to be. But as you can see, he has found success with these products that you happen to represent. So last word to the dealers who may be tuning in and maybe weren't quite ready or aware of such premium product in more that is beyond plug and play, like I said.
If you're in tune with the motorcycle industry right now, Soundigital Ground Zero. Whether you carry it or whether you carry another brand, that this brand has been making waves and that it exists. It's like some of my other brands that we talk about. You don't have to be scared to offer people expensive things, right? Especially expensive things that you can be confident in when you're selling it, right? Like Andy said, when we had him, it's better to over deliver than to under deliver. And it was Soundigital and Ground Zero. You're always over delivering.
If you are in the market, guys, you want some high-end gear for your motorcycle customers, you give Justin Bond a call at BB because these guys got the goods when it comes to that category of stuff. No doubt about it. BB distribution for, let's cover it. We're talking Soundigital amplifiers, Ground Zero, the entire line, but today we specifically talked about the motorcycle specific gear, but also for that HKI Mini DSP. Like I said, high-end gear, motorcycle, call BB. They pretty much got that covered. That's that.
That's that.
Thanks for coming in again, Justin. Always a pleasure.
See you next time.
See you next time. There you have it, guys. Real, concise, comprehensive session today about higher end custom motorcycle audio gear. I want to remind you, we are continually talking about motorcycle audio. We are smack in the middle of our motorcycle audio sessions, and they will continue until April 29th on that Friday. All the great brands that are involved in motorcycle right here on the screen. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you check out cmanetworks.com because you may be watching this on demand and you'll be on our website, or you want to find other great content. Search for it by brand, by category, or if you want to find more videos with Justin and I, look up Justin Bond's profile. He's got a ton of videos that we can look at right there. That's it. Thanks for tuning in to this CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today. Today we're gonna go
Yo,
topics.
roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?